All right, I've talked about the RDL a couple times. I've shared my mindset, how I train it. I've shared the idea that you should RDL as much weight as you deadlift from the ground, low rep sets, all that. I've given my take on that. This is going to be about exercises you can do to improve your pattern. So before I show you, I'm going to show you two with a dowel, one with a foam roller. Before I do that, we have to talk about the hips, because the hips is the key. If you can't figure out the hips, then the exercises, they might help you figure out the hips, but ultimately this is the key to the RDL. I will touch on foot position real quick because I think it helps the hips. So anytime, any exercise, I work ground up. If it's wrong, if you're wrong on your feet, it's going to cause everything else. It's like a chain reaction. So it's got to be from the ground up. You've got to start from a solid position. Though I've talked about this before. I want to use my hips and hamstrings. I'm not trying to isolate my hamstrings with a compound movement like an RDL. That would be a leg curl machine. It'd be some other exercise. But if I'm doing an RDL, it's a compound exercise, so I'm not going to think about isolating my hamstrings. And in fact, if you want to see this exercise skyrocket, trust me when I say include the hips, meaning your glutes, hamstrings, glutes. So if you want to finish at the top, right, any exercise, when you finish, this muscle should be contracted. So if you have your toes straight ahead, contract your glutes as hard as you can. Now try it with your toes out a little bit and tell me which one you can contract the best. And the answer is with your toes out. So we got to start with our toes out. Another mistake that's going to hurt you in your RDL pattern is having your feet too wide. You want leverage, you want length. I would recommend starting from a position you would jump from or slightly closer. That's a great reference point. If you're going to jump, nobody's jumping from here. I'm probably going to jump from about right here, and I'm going to turn my toes for the RDL. That's about where I'm going. So hips are the key. Here's the key. If you picture your pelvis, you want the milk to spill forward. You want your hips to tilt. So if I stand from the side and I put my hands on my hips, I want to be able to feel that. Like there's your bowl of milk. I want it to spill out the front. Okay, that's the key. So if I'm standing up tall, as I go down or before, I've got to learn how to tilt my hips forward. That gives me access to my hips and my hamstrings. It prevents that rounding in the low lumbar. So an exercise I'm not going to do on camera. I've talked about this before. If you get on your hands and knees and you practice cat camel with the big arch back, and then cat with the big arch the other way, and you pay attention to what your hips are doing in both those movements, the cat position is more aligned with the anterior pelvic tilt that you want to have. That's the key. These exercises I'm going to show you might help you, but that's the whole key. Once you learn that, everything else happens pretty naturally. The other thing I want to talk about before I show you these exercises, and these exercises are going to help this too, but you want a negative shin angle. I don't want my knees to go forward. I don't want the bar to go around the knees. I want the bar to go straight down. So the first move, if I'm holding the bar, my hips are back and the back of my knees are back. The back of my knees go back. So if you look at something vertical, like my shin's vertical, whenever I start the exercise, I want my shin to go back. And because my hips are going back, I'm able, my legs aren't stiff. They're not locked out, but I'm able to back my knees up and create a negative shin angle, meaning the shins go back and I can lean against the weight. The other thing that's important, I think, when your toes are out and I go down, I want my knees to come apart. And then they'll come back together at the top. But when I go down, they might come apart. And you get this diamond shape where you got closed feet, the knees come out, and then they come back to the hips. That's a strong position. So as you do these exercises I show you, think about that also. And then before I show these, one more thing is, when do you do these exercises? You do them while you're resting between your sets of RDL. that is your way to practice and refine. You don't ever, you're going to learn the most from doing the actual RDL. You're going to have the light bulb moments in between sets. As you're refining, you're trying to give yourself feedback. These exercises I'm going to show you are going to give you the feedback, but I want you then to take that feedback and then put it into practice with the actual RDL. That's going to give you the most success. All right, so the first one, you need a dowel. Everybody, if anybody's seen any of these exercises, this is the one most people have seen. It's my least favorite. It's the one, especially if you do it with a PVC pipe, that people cheat on. So I'm going to go over how to do this. The key is being honest with yourself, and you want to feel internally, you want to be able to feel the tension in the right places, which is the hamstrings and hips. If you feel any tension in your low back, that's how you know you've got some work to do. So the first step is you're going to grab the top of the dowel. You're going to put it behind you. You're going to grab the dowel in the small of your back. You're going to establish 3 points of contact: the head, mid-shoulders, and then your butt, glutes. All right? At all times, you're going to maintain those 3 points of contact until you just feel this intense amount of tension in those hamstrings. When you come up, I like to squeeze glutes at the top to really work and figure out my coordination. Push the hips back. Remember, the anterior pelvic tilt, or the tilt of the pelvis forward, is key, because if you don't, I can't even do it, but you're going to look like this. You're going to lose this third point of contact. Some people with the PVC pipe, they'll use this hand to pull it to them to keep it on there. Don't do that. You want to keep all 3 points of contact. So to do it, again, it's going to really emphasize the anterior pelvic tilt. One more thing. You want to make sure this hand is in the small of your back. You want this in the right behind your neck so that you're not cheating. Standing tall, 1, 2, 3, and then go. And if you can figure this out, that's what it's going to feel like, if you had a barbell. It's going to be the same position. Try that one. The next one, same thing with a dowel. You just have to have something to, like a wall or something behind you. So I'll show you that next. All right, this one I learned from the performance world, and I've never seen it online. I can honestly say I've never seen this on a video. Another reason I really like to share things is because I feel like the performance world has so many good ideas, little nuggets, tips and tricks that haven't, for some reason, ever made it over to mainstream media for whatever reason. I don't know why, but this is one of them. This is a great one, especially if you're struggling to get the negative shin angle. And I think you should use all these, because if one of them doesn't do it, all three of them, you just need that aha moment. Between all three of these exercises, you're going to get it. So you stand with something behind you. You want it to be in reachable distance. You take your dowel, you put it in front, and you reach away and your hips back at the same time. Try to find, it can be a wall, whatever. You want to find the wall. And it's about the only way to get there. You're going to have to anterior tilt and challenge yourself on the reach. See how far back you can reach. And it's the same position that you're going to be in when you RDL. Pretend like there's a band around your waist also. So when you reach, there's a band pulling you back. Contract against it, squeeze at the top. No mashed potatoes. I used to say it to my athletes all the time. I don't want mashed potatoes. Whenever you stand up, it's because you're bringing the hips through, and the hips are going to be completely through when they're fully contracted. It's going to help you put these pieces together. So dowel out front, reach, feel that big tension and stretch, and then squeeze at the top. No mashed potatoes. All right, last one. You just need the foam roller. You're going to grab your RDL stance. You're going to put the foam roller on your thighs, hands like this, and you're going to simply roll the foam roller down and then stand back up. Roll your forearms on the foam roller, stand back up. Try to get to your toes. You probably can't get there, but try to see, and again, pretend like there's a band around your hips and you're trying to reach back as far as you can. Reach back and then contract. at the top, all the way up. No mashed potatoes. Reach and back up. Between one of those exercises, it's gonna click, and if it doesn't, give it time. Do these between the exercise, between your sets. If you're doing 5 sets of RDL, you should have 5 sets of either or a little mix of all these exercises as you rest to try to find how to refine your RDL. Good luck and let me know how it goes.